Hi everyone, I'm Brenda Harvey, author of the Conspiracy series, and I'm an introvert, and we're going to talk about that in today's video and how that can help you with your writing. But before that, please hit the like button. That's just going to let YouTube know that you like these videos, and it'll recommend them to you so you can see all of my content. And if you really like my channel, whether you're new or you've been here a while and you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. And that's also just going to tell YouTube that you like my videos, and then that will also help my information get out to other people who might like it and use it. Also, The Lead is out. That's the second book in the Conspiracy series, so make sure to check that out, link in the description. And yeah, let's get into the video. So, introverts. You've probably heard of them before. And there's a lot of misinformation about introverts, and I'm an introvert, which may or may not surprise you. I hate talking to people, especially small talk. I couldn't care less about your opinion about the weather, whether it is sunny or storming. I don't care what you think. And there are some times where I do, and we'll get into that in a moment. But I don't like talking to people. I prefer to be alone and recharge, and I take a lot of time to grow into a situation. My first really month of school, I didn't have any friends. I didn't talk to anyone because I went to public school, kindergarten through 8th grade, and then for high school I moved to a private Catholic all-girls school, and I have amazing friends there. They are wonderful and I love them so much, and they are never going to get rid of me ever. But I didn't talk to anyone unless I had to, because I was uncomfortable in my new situation, and also I started high school during the pandemic. And it was in person, so new people, it was really weird for me. And by the end of the year, there were still 2 classes that I didn't talk in at all, art and math. And in those 2 classes, in art, I know, there were some people who didn't even know I was in their class, or didn't know who I was. And it was kind of awkward in those moments, but all in all, it was a really nice time during the day to recharge and be left alone. And like I said, I love my friends. They are amazing. But sometimes I do need to recharge, be unsociable for a little bit, and that's what I did in art, and it was a really relaxing class. But being an introvert has really helped me as a writer. For one, it gives me an excuse to be alone and for people not to bother me, which is a pretty great situation on my end. But here are some things that introverts are really good at and how they can relate to writing, because you're here because of writing. I don't know why else you'd be here. Maybe you like me. Maybe that's it. But this is how it relates to writing. Okay, moving on. So introverts tend to be very, very thoughtful. So like I said, I hate small talk, and most introverts hate small talk. And if you go up to an introvert, or really anyone in a grocery store, and you decide to tell them your entire life story, they are not going to care. So I'm sorry if you have a really interesting life story, good for you, but I don't care if I don't know you. That's just how introverts, and I think a lot of people, even extroverts, are. But like I said, I don't care about the weather, whether it's sunny or storming. I don't care about your opinions about it, but I am interested in what's going on in your head, because your brain is so interesting. I don't know if I've said this on this channel before, but my brain, I think of it as a giant city, and I'm sorry, this lighting is kind of really bad. I might be able to fix an ending. But anyway, my brain is a giant city where your phone's dead, so you can't use GPS, you don't have a map, and all the people hate you, so you can't ask for directions, so you just kind of wander around and get lost, and sometimes there's a dragon, and sometimes there's a serial murderer. It's an interesting place. So your deeper thoughts are much more interesting to me than, oh, I like the rain versus I hate the rain. I don't really care, but I do care You know, rain is a symbol for being clean of the rest of the world, and it just washes away all of the horrible things of the world, and that is interesting. So if you ever talk to me, go for the deep stuff first, because I don't care about your life story. Moving on, introverts are super observant, especially me. So introverts can read a room very well. Like, you know, where it's like the crazy people and the calm people, the people who don't really want to be here, the people who won't shut up and you really don't want to hang out with them. Introverts, they can read people in general very well. I'm sorry. This lighting is really bad. I'm gonna have to fix this in editing. I'm sorry, guys. They can read a room very well, and they can read people very well, which is part of what makes them great listeners, and which is something that makes making friends a lot easier for introverts. Like, I know making friends isn't really something you tend to think of, and it is harder because we don't like the small talk and we don't like introducing ourselves to people, but when you know something more than this person's opinions on sun, it's much, much, much easier to make friends, and extroverts experience this too. It's just extroverts are fine with small talk and they won't shut up about it. So being observant, and when this applies to writing, if you can read a room, you can describe that, and to something that may or may not make sense to extroverts, like, oh my gosh, how can you see that? But if you're describing a room and you're like, you enter this party, you can be like, I noticed some guys hanging out in the corner, their faces full of excitement and talking much louder than they needed to. In the other corner, people were looking at their phones and glancing at the clock, trying to see when they could leave. Now, that is something you want to put in a story, because that is so descriptive. Like, oh my gosh, you just described two groups of people in this party when you could have just said there were streamers everywhere and there were balloons that were being popped because people decided to sit on them. Much, much more detailed and much, much more interesting. And of course, like, reading a room is very important, because if you come in and you're like, I had this killer joke, but nobody's in the mood for a joke, you really don't need to say it. Next, introverts are great leaders, which might be surprising because introverts don't tend to speak up as much, but when they are given leadership positions, they are amazing, because they aren't going to distract you as your boss being all, hey, how's it going? Oh yeah, when you just want to work. And it's like, okay, for an introvert, it's like, if you're doing your job, then have fun. And like, obviously that's not great for all situations, and like a lot of situations, it's like, yeah, your boss does need to say that, but your boss does not need to initiate conversation all the time. And especially with introverted teachers, I found, since I'm kind of self-employed, it's like, if you're doing your job, I don't need to talk to you, but if you're not, then I will talk to you and try to figure out what's going on. And that, for me, that is how I best work, and that's my best environment. So writing, if you're going to be an author, especially a young author like me, you need to take up leadership in your life. And if you have employees, like I sort of do, they get paid, don't worry, but they're teenagers and one adult. You need to be able to take that leadership role, and it's also going to butt into your characters and showing the ones that are leaders and the ones that are side characters. They're important too, and they can be great leaders. Next, introverts are great at working, getting stuff done, because they can choose, you know what, I want to get this done, I don't want to go to that party, I don't want to small talk with this person, I don't want to, etc., etc., and they will just get their work done. But I will say, you have that big open environment, you have that big open environment where everyone can talk to anyone. That is torture for introverts, because then everyone's going to try to talk to them, and really they don't care. They just want to get their work done at that point. So an introvert being in a setting where it's like, okay, I can be productive, that is going to be alone the majority of the time. Now, obviously, there are situations where you need to work with people, but if they don't have to and they can have an environment by themselves, that is going to be ideal for them. And if you are a boss of something, make sure you know that and give them the option, even if you want to. Next, introverts are great at listening. So introverts, since they don't have a lot they want or need to say, they are more likely to listen. And like I said earlier, introverts, they do care about you, and they want to listen to what's deep in your brain, not, I need to stop using this reference, but I need example reference, but introverts, they care what's going on in your brain, not whether you like the sun or the storms. So introverts, if you need someone to talk to, introverts are probably your best bet. I like thinking before they jump. So basically it's thinking the way through. So if you're an introvert, a lot of the times you think out every single word you say before you say it. And you know this about yourself because you can probably hear it in your voice, in your head, at least 2 seconds before you start talking what you're saying. Or if you're going to introduce, it may take an hour for you to figure out the words. But this is really good for writing, because you need great words to be a writer. And I was recently given the experience, actually it wasn't that recently, it was in March, to talk to another author, and they were saying read the works of poets because they choose their words so carefully. But this is the Mysterious Benedict Society. It was supposed to be a diagram of Mr. Curtin's brain with lots of numbers on every region. Now, those words were very, very carefully placed, and then here, Sticky reached for his spectacles, checked himself, and thrust his hands into his pocket to still them. So that also was very, very carefully worded. And probably rewritten at least 10 times, let's be honest here. But when you choose your words so carefully, it's so much better than I walked into the room, or I walked through the door. The room was covered in dust. Or, no, not even that. I opened the door and stepped inside the room. Dust was on every surface. I can't even think of this basic sentence anymore. But you get it. You're smart. Figure it out. And then introverts know themselves really well, which makes it easier for them to write because they can put more of themselves into a character, which I know some authors say that you don't put yourself into any of your characters and you're not always writing about yourself, but really you are subconsciously. And the more you embrace that, the easier it's going to be for you to write. So, yeah. And finally, introverts are very good at learning, and they're very interested in learning. Like, for me, I spent hours of research for the conspiracy series. As you probably know, there's a lot of science-y things. And I had to learn all of that. So I would give you accurate information because it drives me crazy when there is inaccurate information in a book and then people start believing it, even though maybe they shouldn't. But that really annoys me. So I did all that learning. Yeah. Which kind of backfired a little bit because now I scare people a lot. Okay, story time. I was in health class. And we were supposed to present our posters about ourselves and how we were growing up. So I did, and then we were asked, oh my gosh, why am I telling the internet this? Then we were asked, then my health teacher asked us questions. Oh my god. This was like a 20 or 30 minute presentation because we couldn't stop talking about murder. There, I said it. Oh my gosh. It started. Even the first question kind of failed. So the first question, what's your favorite color? And I said red, which it is. Red is a very nice color. And everyone thought I meant for like blood. And then my friend tried to save me and was like, no, red for the roses on the book cover, obviously. And then I said, sure, Joey. Why do you guys need to know this? Yeah, and it kind of went downhill from there. What's your favorite food? Chocolate. And chocolate is one of the 6 major food groups. If anyone tells you that's wrong, then they're wrong. In my sophomore high school professional opinion. Yeah. So, then I kind of sort of scared my health teacher. That's a tiny bit. She was scared of me for the rest of the year, which I'm not complaining about. But even before that, she asked all of us, what are some positive ways you handle anger? And I said, and like everyone else is like, oh, I listen to music or remove myself from the situation. Then here I come and it's like, I write about their death in very morbid and violent ways. So that scared a lot of people. So I will say, if you enjoy learning, you don't need to broadcast all your information to the entire world unless you want them to be scared of you, because even my art class thought I was a serial killer. I need to tell that story now, don't I? Okay, we played Mafia a lot. And I think people were just like entertained when I was Mafia because no one suspected me, because like if I talked that would give me away and I didn't really want to talk anyway. So I listened. I'm very good at observing. I'm very good at listening. And sometime I'll even tell you the story of how I made friends with my current wonderful, amazing friends. You guys are the best. But we were playing Mafia, and I was the Mafia, and I was killing off people, because that was how the game's played. And then someone accused me of being the Mafia. It was down to like the last 3 people, I think. 3 or 4 people at this point. And they accused me, and then how we played was if you are the Mafia, you get to defend yourself. So I said that these killings are too scattered. If I was the Mafia, there would be a pattern. Then my art class decided I was a serial killer. I don't know why I'm telling you guys this. You really don't need to know this, but then right after that, I went to world history and told my friends about it, and they weren't surprised, so there's that. That tells you something about me. Anyway, I think that's kind of it for this video, so outro. It's happening. Okay, anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video and learning about how insane I am. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, which I already told you to do at the beginning of the video, so you probably should have done it already, but you can still do it now. Oh my gosh. Make sure to check out the lead and the conspiracy if you haven't, but if you haven't, you're just a tiny bit behind over here. So yeah, and thank you so much for watching. Check out my website for more up-to-date information on the next book. And of course, that is where I first announced the lead was out, and I completely redid my website to show that. So make sure you are consistently checking my website. And I have a challenge for you before you go. So Taylor Swift fans are Swifties. Harry Potter fans are Potterheads, I think. Taylor Swift fans are Swifties. So if there are any diehard fans of my books and of me, come out with a cute name for yourselves and let me know, because this is really interesting for me. And you don't have to. I mean, I don't know how many people actually watch me because I don't keep up with analytics that much, even though I probably should. But that's not the point. So yeah. Yeah, I have a podcast link below, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.